How are you, Professor?
How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks. Prof, we don't have much time. I'm going to start our class just now. I doubt we'll even finish because you've confessed that you have to go to the airport.
Yes.
But the tradition is before we start any show, you would get a bowl full of questions, 3 questions actually, to select from that the previous guest would have left for you. We don't have that privilege today, but I do have a question for you as a starter. Are you fine with that?
Go ahead.
Okay.
I
So,
have not to answer, right?
well, no, you're not. So the question for you would be, if you were to be put in a room with people that you've met in your entire existence, who would you look forward to see?
Dead or alive?
Dead or alive?
My father.
Your dad. Tell me about your dad.
Most people would call him a prick, but he was a good father.
They would call him what?
A prick. He was a womanizer, but he had a lot of love, man. I have only good memories of him. Just my mother would have been upset with him from time to time, but he was still a father to me. It's a pity that he died quite early. I was 10 when he died. But all I remember is good things. And possibly that's the first person I would raise a glass to.
What made him so special?
He was present when I needed him to be present. And I think that's enough for a child. And that's exactly what he did. He was there whenever I needed him.
That's beautiful. You don't get to hear a lot of that these days. Fathers are absent. Fathers don't have time for their children. You and I were recently talking about fathers not showing up during school tournaments, and it's quite a sad thing, really. But the reason why I've asked you to join me today is because I want to talk about a very controversial topic, homosexuality. And no, you know why I asked you? You know why I asked you? You recently had a show, 3-Way, on Mzansi Magic, or Mzansi Way 2.
Imagine me forgetting my channel. On channel 157, and that's Moja Love.
Moja Love. You recently had a show there, and it was called 3-Way. I'm gonna confess, I've seen a couple of episodes, but I didn't finish. I still am going to go back and finish. Okay. And why this is particularly important for me is because there's a video that I was watching, and it just so happened that there is some sort of misunderstanding when it comes to the concept of homosexuality, especially from us people who regard themselves as Christians, or let me just say, men generally. You know, we exist in a patriarchal society. I recently had a guest here, Sipolazi, who indicated that one of the reasons why we don't understand these things is because we exist in a patriarchal society. And I want to know from you, with your experience, how has it been like ever since you had that show on television?
A lot of questions. One, our show was not just homosexuality. There's my boyfriend, there's the mother of my child, whom we were not dating at the time. I don't know what we're doing now, but we are possibly dating. But
wait, who? With the mother or with the boyfriend?
With the mother of the child. We were not in a relationship when we had a child.
Okay.
We just decided that we're going to have a child. And then there is my boyfriend, who also has a child with someone else who was not on the show.
Okay, pause.
Yes.
Are you still with the boyfriend?
Can we not talk about that? I don't know what's going on
here. No, I asked because you are saying that something might be happening with the mother. But that's...
Okay, yes, I'm getting to that. When we started our relationship, we made it distinctively clear that you can date someone else of a different gender.
Okay.
As long as it's one person. So he is allowed to date a woman. I am also allowed to date a woman. So should I decide to date the mother of my child, he wouldn't have a problem.
Okay.
And also, of course, he's had a girlfriend. We've seen this on the show. I don't have a problem with that. But as long as it's someone of a different gender. That's what confused me. Kuti, what the hell is going on? Because it was not now an LGBTQI plus thing. It was also this mix up temple like of 2024, and should we decide to get married, who am I marrying? Him and the girlfriend, or my girlfriend and him? How are we going to live? Are we going to be at the same house? So there was a lot.
I'm also confused. Sitting here confused. I'm thinking, is this an open setup kind of relationship?
As I said, you are allowed to have two relationships with a man and a woman.
Oh, so you can't have with multiple women at the same time. Whew.
Yes.
Okay. It's it's a lot.
So it's not open, but it has a certain level of freedom.
Okay.
And our women, should they choose to date, it can only be a woman.
Let's call it a semi-structured relationship.
Yes.
Before that, though, how was your life like? Because my understanding of what's happened is that you came out during the course of the show, which is quite recent.
Yes.
Before that, who was Professor? How were you like? I would assume you are more free now. You can do whatever, wherever, whenever.
It's not like that, really. Nothing much of myself has changed. I am someone who believes in commitment.
Yeah.
So I'm topa here and there because I was still searching. I was kissing frogs, real frogs. And so in me kissing frogs, it was still in the closet also. And once in a while I'll date a woman. But I've always kept my relationships quite private because only my friends, not even family, know about my relationships. So relationship wise, I don't think anything has changed. I still believe in commitment. I don't know if I believe in marriage though, but that was even before now. The issue of coming out, I was forced into a corner to come out because I was shooting a reality show that was going to be all over Africa, that was going to be seen by the rest of the world. So I couldn't just shoot a show and then all of a sudden my mother and my family sees me on TV with a guy. So I had to go home and explain this, which happened quite dramatically fast. That I think I really put her in a very uncomfortable position because it was really, really quick. It was, I'm having a child, there's a boyfriend. So she had to process all of these things very quickly, and it was quite uncomfortable. And honestly, I did feel her pain because there was a little bit of rejection of the partner, of the male partner. But in my heart, I was like, okay, she's my mother. She's going to get used to this. Well, she has. She's coming around now because she asks from time to time. But what also is difficult with that, when families are involved in a relationship, because he also introduced me to his family. It no longer becomes your relationship. One, is a public national relationship that everybody in South Africa knows about. Two, there's family involved now. Whenever there's a disagreement in a relationship, there is a small chance that the family is going to be involved also. So it doesn't. It no longer you no longer have full control of your own relationship. So yeah, it's a lot.
Let's go back to your mother. Now your mom knows you've been professor. I'm not sure if your friends knew about your sexuality there back then before you came out. I mean, it was a shock for me when I saw on national television that, boom, professor, I've known you for years. Anyway, wait. So I wanna know, how did it make you feel when you explained this to your mom? And now that you've had a bit of time since you came out and she's aware of who you really are in terms of your sexuality, well, that small portion of your life, how does that make you feel? How has it changed you as an individual, as professor?
Anxious, really. I don't think me and my mom have had a space where we talk about either boyfriend or girlfriend.
Because it's very uncommon in black families, right?
Yeah, we don't have that luxury of discussing relationships. So I don't know, dude. It's when I explained this to her, I could see her face. She turned red on screen. Like I was like, oh, okay. But she decided not to say anything. But I could feel her pain. I think abazali are always expecting
which he did.
Well, which I did, but this I had discussed with her before the show. And it was planned. It wasn't a mistake. Hence my daughter's name is Nhloswet, by the way. So we planned this, so it was easier to explain. But now all of a sudden, I had to explain further that you probably think this woman is going to Rumakota like Kai, but Kunomoina. So it was quite uncomfortable, which is still uncomfortable, by the way, because I can't just pick up the phone and say, Mom, my relationship is not going well. No, man. That's the first question that's going to come up. And then I would say, no, man. And then that changes the whole game. I can't, I don't know. We are still not there. And I don't think we are ever going to get there. Because it's very difficult for me to discuss these things. I'm loud, but I'm very private about my things. It's not a secret, but it's just my private business. Yeah.
As relationships should be, whether you are homosexual or heterosexual, I believe that those should be kept private.
But
because it's something between the two people.
There is another thing I need to correct is in our society there's black and white. Yeah. There's heterosexual and homosexual. There's a lot in between. There's bisexual, there's asexual, there's pansexual, hence LGBTQI. There's lesbians. So between heterosexual and homosexual, there is a lot going on in between, which I'm in this lot. I'm not just there or in the
So are you trying to tell me that somebody who identifies as a bisexual individual is not homosexual?
No. Bisexual already tells you bi. Two. Homo, one of the same sex. Bisexual is male or female. And then there's other people who identify as pansexual or asexual, which for them gender is not anything. They can date anyone as long as that person stimulates them somehow in some way.
Okay, intellectually.
Pansexual, I think that is.
I think I should identify as a pansexual. Yes, but I should. I'll make it known that it will only be with women. So they must have brains.
It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that.
So a heterosexual with
who is
then-
stimulated by brain.
okay, let's go for that. Heterosexual, it stays there.
Yeah, it stays there. Because if you're going to say pansexual, then a professor at Harvard who is a male that stimulates your brain, are you telling me that you're going to go there? No. Heterosexual, then that's where it ends.
Okay, I didn't know. This is new to me. I've seen people using. There's actually a number of these something sexual terms, and
it's confusing to
yeah,
us.
it's very confusing.
To us too, who are they?
I think that's why there's a plus.
Yes.
So because there's an ETC and etc.
A lot of people are a plus. Because after, when you are on TV, you sort of stimulate people's brains. Because yes, they are confused. But for whatever reason, whatever they see on screen, they try and relate it to their lives. And they started getting a lot of direct messages on social media. People asking themselves where they stand. And they expect me to answer those questions, and I'm not a psychologist. And they would ask me things. So if I feel like this for a male guy would ask me, if I feel like this for so and so who's also a guy, does that mean? I'll be like, but you're the only person who can answer this question. Because do you really, really, really like them because of who they are in your life, or do you like them sexually? Some people can't answer those questions to themselves, or they don't want to be honest with themselves. Other people would have a fantasy of having a trans woman, meaning a woman with boobs, looks like a woman, but has a diddly, So they would also ask themselves, are they still attracted to women if they want a woman with a nakujane?
I'm sorry. I'm laughing not because of what you're saying, but it's how you're saying it that makes me laugh.
Well, if you wanted with a nakujane, does that mean you are still interested in women? It's a lot. And I can't answer those questions for people because you must dig down deep inside yourself and ask yourself, if now this woman had a beard, a flat chest, and they had a makunjan, would you still want to be with that person? Other people, they want a flat chest, a beard, and a makunjan.
Okay, Prof. Let's pause.
Yeah.
You mentioned being closeted at some stage.
Yeah. For a whole lot of my life.
It's only quite recent that you actually came out and just made it known.
I grew up in a very strict Christian background. So
you always say yes. But then I want to know, is it important for people to come out?
Honestly, no. You don't get a straight person going to their family, coming out and saying, I'm heterosexual.
But that's a norm. That's a norm.
What's normal?
This
is my normality, by the way.
No. Society is not used to this. Yes, it is your normality, but we grew up in a society where we are not really used to homosexuals.
Honestly,
if you think about what happened in South Africa post 1994, it's then when we started seeing this acceptance of the LGBTQI plus community. Before that, it wasn't the case.
Honestly, we are in 2024, 30 years after democracy. And before democracy, there were homosexual people. And the society knew. They just decided not to accept these things. And I think, the amount of depression and anxiety that is caused by the pressure to come out in the LGBTQ community is immense. And I'm saying, no, it's not important to come out because people shouldn't have to explain their feelings and their sexuality or their sexual orientation to other people. Because one, it's uncomfortable. Two, you are expecting rejection already before you even say it because of the society we live in. Three, people have seen people being killed for being a different sexual orientation. So we need to be easy on people. They shouldn't feel a need to come out. The only time really you would be coming out is by telling your parents, okay, this is my boyfriend. And that's where it should end. Not, Kanti, you're sleeping with men. Because we subject people to such things.
But then, how do we teach our... Okay, first, before I say this, Sipolazi, who sat on that very chair, said we exist in a patriarchal society that doesn't understand all these intersectionalities that we find ourselves in. And she made an example about the intersectionality of gender, spoke about sexuality as well. How do we then change the narrative? How do we teach our parents that, look, this is something that happens. This is something that should not be stigmatized. It's something that should be accepted. Our parents are still very reluctant to accept such things. Society generally is reluctant to accept such.
I personally think there's no hope for our parents. Really. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. If your parent is not open-minded, they won't understand this. But in our generation and generations behind us, I think the narrative has sort of changed. I think it's a time thing. In 100 years, I don't think people will be having this conversation. They'll be talking something else. So
Energy.
I think we must just give it time. But for now, in our generation, let's allow people to live their lives as freely as they can, not having to explain anything to anyone. Because, heterosexual people, I have a lot of friends, heterosexuals.
What does that mean?
They always think LGBTQI is a disgrace, is this and that, is this and that. But the things that straight people do behind closed doors, if we were to bring those things to light, they are the ones who need to come out.
What do they do? Tell us, what happens behind closed doors without having to mention people's names?
Well, I wouldn't mention people's names, but people have a lot of fantasies. A lot of PDSM. Do you know what PDSM is? Have you watched 50 Shades of Grey?
A while back, yeah.
That's just life light. What happens in real life is a lot.
Okay.
One of my friends told me the other day that he likes people read. He's married to his wife.
Oh.
Reading is ice creaming the back. And this is a man. Even if you were to walk in here, he's a full-bodied man. That man. But he wants to, yes. So, but the same straight people find it easy to ask things like who does who what in the Bible. If I were to ask him that question in public, that you once told me that you would like being a black, he would not be comfortable. At the same time, people find it easy to just say, so ubani oyindoda, we are both men. Ubani owenza ini kuphi? Shut up. It's none of your business. So people must just come down. In our generation, I'm still saying, in our generation, all we need to do is allow people to live their lives, because this causes a lot of pressure for people. And LGBTQ people also have possibly the same endeavors in life like straight people. They want to have children, they want to get married, they want to have a normal life. And what you find is they put themselves under so much pressure to be successful, because success comes with a certain level of respect. So most of the gays and the lesbians and the bisexuals of this world have to work 10 times harder to earn a place in society. Hence, people always say, I've never seen a broke gay person. Because when you know you are not normal, as you say, you have to work so much hard to be accepted by normal people. So ease it up. Show your children that it's okay to have a friend who is not normal. Tell your children it's okay to be not normal. Because what I've found is I have friends, I have children who are teenagers, some of them. They're fine with me being queer. But they would die if their child was to tell them that they are not straight. Double standard? Why?
That's a very interesting observation.
Yeah. They love me as a friend. They really, really do love me. They would, if I had a problem on the road or the N3 somewhere 300 kilometers away, they would drive there and help me. They've accepted me. But on the contrary, they can't accept that there is a possibility that their children might also be queer.
Well, they want Zulu, and they want things done the natural way.
Have I not given my mother Zulu?
I think how you do it is what matters.
No.
For them.
No. Why should it matter?
Well, for them. Remember, your logic isn't going to be the same as theirs.
But look at it.
You used to say common sense is not common to everyone.
Of course. This is why women get abused in marriages. Because sometimes women cannot have children the natural way. And they get abused, they get called all of these sorts of names because people don't want to change this. And sometimes it's the man that cannot produce children. Sometimes, most of the time, it's men that can't produce children. But because people are not willing to learn, we always find ourselves there. Why should it matter how you made a child?
Professor, what's the worst that you've experienced from society? What's the worst treatment that you've ever received?
Because of my sexuality?
Because of your sexuality, yes.
None. I'm one of the lucky ones. None. Do you know why? I was in a closet for a long time until I made a name for myself in society. So when I eventually came out, it was too late for anyone to say anything. Because I would have asked, who are you? Who do you think you are? So, anyone wants to come out, I would actually advise them to wait until they're at the right point in society and then come out. Because there is a lot that can happen when you are dependent on someone else. Whether your parents or family or friends or whatever. If you still have a small bit of your life that is dependent on someone else, don't come out. People are abusive.
how humanly possible is that? Understanding that people's contexts are different.
Well, I did it.
Well,
I waited
you
until
are
the
one in a
voting.
million.
But also, I do have regrets. In high school already, people could see that I'm different. And they kept on telling me that I am different.
Wait, how different?
I'm gay. They used to call me gay, but in
what would be the
derogatory,
Stubborn.
Yeah, but I don't find it stubborn offensive. It's how you say it. When it's going to be stubbornness, it's no longer a description of your sexuality. It's now thrown as a derogatory term. So I used to have those comments being said about me, but because I was a strong believer, what kept me sane was God. So for me, it was easy to survive, but I have regrets of not showing my true self there because I went in too deep in the closet. That most of my teenagehood and my early 20s was quite stressful and depressive. What helped me actually was to leave KZN. When I left and came to Gauteng, where no one knew me really, I could at least live some parts of my life in the dark without even worrying that I'd be cool. So I do regret not living my full potential as a queer person because I wouldn't have got into any closet for that matter. People would have just known. Yes, it would have been difficult for them to accept at first, but I would have delayed. I wouldn't have delayed all the pain. It would have happened then. I would have been myself, and a lot wouldn't happen now. It wouldn't be a surprise, and there wouldn't be a need for coming out. Because honestly, all queer people, they always know. They always know. Even if you're confused, the fact that you're confused about your sexuality is something you know. And it's deeply embedded in who you are. So I do have regrets about getting into a closet because no one is born and put into a closet. You decide as a human being to get into that closet. But in doing that also, it did help me a lot because my childhood was not that easy. Had I been out, I don't think the people that helped me in my life in general to grow up, to study, to do whatever that I've done would have been there for me because they wouldn't want to be associated with not normal. So I guess it's a survival thing. If you know you need those people, stay in the closet. If you don't, if you know your family is okay with anything, come out if you want to. It's free outside. Let's breathe. The closet is very hard.
Yeah. There's a thought that's crossing my mind now as you say this, but I'll come back to it. You said something which reminded me of something a friend of mine from high school once said when I told him that I'm relocating from KZN to Joburg. He said, "I am you know, because Joburg is apparently known to be a hub of homosexuality. I'm not sure how true that is, but they call it the capital."
Cape Town.
Okay, I don't know. I don't know. Is KZN any different, Durban? Because Joburg and Cape Town are two of the three biggest cities we have in the country. How is different? How is Durban different?
Dude. I will my close the airport.
Oh.
Close the cases after 9. That people say after 9. I can. I name it. I'm shut in the cats. abashadile ngaleso sikhathi abafika yashaya manje. And then, you know the problem with straight after 9, not straight, gay closeted men. They possess more homophobia than actual straight people. So they abuse gays during the day, they sleep with them at night. And I have an encounter with someone like that. He wouldn't even want us to greet each other during the day. But he would come and sleep at my place at night.
Why did you allow that?
I was still in the closet. For myself, it was acceptable to allow such behavior.
Okay.
And I did. I allowed it. But in KZN, homophobia is a lot. Not because there is a less number or there's a less percentage of gays in KZN than in Joburg. But laba se-KZN bahleli emakhabethini nje bapholile nje lapho emakhabethini abo bayayishela bajuluke babe-right. On the other side in Joburg, people go there because of their careers mostly.
Carriers?
Careers.
Oh, okay.
Yes. They go there bayosebenza, and when they work there, so it's easier for them to do these things.
They shut down the park.
Yes. They do these things and then abanye bafaka ne-makeup, bafake iy'nkobe, bafake iy'ngubo, bantaze bemnandi bafake nebele kube-right. But ngoDisemba uma begodula baya emakhaya baqule oBrentwood, babafake bawabophe efikini bashone emakhaya. Some of them have wives. But uma bela eGoli baqale amakwayikwayi.
I feel like you are telling me about this other show I watched on Netflix. I've forgotten what it was called, but they used to dance through these things. No, it wasn't Evolve.
I mean,
yeah, but there were a lot of queer people there, and they had this dancing culture.
It's called Vogue, the dance.
Oh, okay. I don't know what it's called. I think it was called. I remember there was a woman called Electra there.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that show, yeah.
Pose was the name of the show, yes. Shucks, Prof, this is a lot of information. It's a lot of information. I then want to know now, say I am a teenager, I am in matric, hormones skyrocket when you're a teenager. And you see this fantastic somebody. You now know that you are this kind of a person. You are homosexual. You have no feelings for women whatsoever. How do you then go about, and I ask this for the sake of those that are watching, how do you go about in articulating that to that person, to your potential partner? Or who do you talk to? I don't even know how to put the question. Who do you talk to get assistance in that regard? Because on the other hand, you've got this potential that is likely to be homophobic. And then you've got your parents, people that you can go to ask for advice from, seek advice from. But because you know how our society is like, you can't even rely on them. What does a 16-year-old do in that scenario, in that case?
At 16, you shouldn't be thinking about boys or girls.
Let's talk about that's very unfair. That's very unfair.
No, that's my stance.
That's unfair.
Sure. Okay, let's remove my personal feelings from it.
At 12 years old, I believe people should be allowed to date. That's when we need to
That's another argument, but let's
anyway,
not go
yes,
there.
yeah.
Let's not go there.
Sorry.
Okay. 16, you're interested in a same-sex relationship on someone that's potentially straight. Say your feelings. Because the thing about internalizing feelings comes with a lot of anxiety. I was interested in someone in high school. By the way, who was a friend of mine, very close. Um, I was interested in this guy. In high school, very close. We used to play rugby together.
You played rugby?
Yeah, hence the legs. So, um, mm, I wanted to say it so many times, but I couldn't. That had a potential of destroying our friendship because we were friends. That was my the biggest problem with that. But I think I should have, because when I told him recently that I had a crush on you in high school, I said, "But why didn't you tell me? Because I could see it." And I said, "But when we move, yes, but we have spoken about this as friends and move on." Because what eventually happened is I started distancing myself from a good friend, from a really, really good friend. And we lost our friendship because I kept quiet about it. But then I told him, we probably would have fought about it, but we would have still kept our friendship.
The fighting could have been brutal. We are seeing kids killing each other these days.
Because of those.
Not necessarily because of that. I'm just saying that other people just get aggressive when such things happen.
But assess your friend. You always know whether a friend is aggressive or not. And you always know what their stance is in terms of homosexuality. Because they are your friend. You could start asking, if Bonga Shalom Fan, what do we need? They would give you a possible reaction. If they're only crash cool, they would possibly give you an idea. Then judge from there, test the waters. It's not every straight guy or shading to Mazani knowing Muti is straight. Some women who are feminine are not interested in men. They're interested in other women.
Yeah.
So you'll never know really. So test the water. If the water is nice and warm, put in your feet. If it's nice and warm, knee high. And then.
Okay, Prof, in the interest of time, may we pause here? We are going to continue this conversation. Hopefully, you're going to say yes. And I wanted to ask you so bad. I wanted to talk a bit about your other work.
Aviation.
Sorry? Aviation.
Which
No,
part
no, no,
about
no.
music?
I wanted to talk about music.
Okay.
But because we don't have time anymore, can you give us a piece of your latest song, please? Can you just be my Andrea Bocelli?
Oh God, no. my recent single, Nguwe.
Yes. Beautiful song, I must say.
Thank you. Nguwabashaya bonke amakhanda. Awu mithatha nantu owakhona umshado.
Thank you so much, Prof. I look forward to having you here again. We are just putting a pause, but the next time we meet, I hope we're going to be able to sit for 3 hours and have a full conversation because you and I have a lot to talk about.